My name is Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
It's been a long time since I've been called a suspect.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. My story is one of, like many others, I'm this alcoholic addict who has most of the time considered myself very fortunate to be able to say that I do it in the way that I do. You look familiar. This lady right here, loudly. But I was one of these alcoholic addicts, fortunate in that sense of the fact of the matter that I came into the program because I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing and all of that part. But I took a friend of mine, as a matter of fact, not a friend, an associate and a customer, was court ordered to get signatures on the paperwork so he could get his name cleared, whatever they were dealing with. And I went into this Alcoholics Anonymous meeting up on Broadway in the back of a church. And I sat way in the back corner with this guy. And we were sitting there. I was listening, and this man, old white man, at that time I was 28 years old. And so a white man standing up in there sharing and talking and telling stuff. And the thing about it was he was telling my story. It was one of the first things about Alcoholics Anonymous that baffled me. Shook me to my core, to be real honest, and it's like, whoa, what's this? So I continued doing what I was doing, and then I got to a place and point in my life, and I wanted to be different. I have to say that by no means was I forced into doing what I did, and the fact of the matter that I like to say it today is that God got me. It's an alcoholic addict who did what he wanted, when he wanted, how he wanted, and whenever he wanted. From the time I was 13 until I was 28 years old. But I never went to jail. I never went to the penitentiary, and I didn't do no treatment program. I got to a place and a point, and another customer, I was doing a delivery, and this young lady was, we were having a conversation. She was telling me, Bobby, I remember Bobby, Bobby, and I remember, and Bobby, and Bobby, I remember. And it did something to me, and I got back home, and at that time, my baby was probably 3 months old, and I got back home, and I don't remember all of the things that she said and how she said it, but the part was that I just didn't want to do it anymore. In a brand new home, living the life of O'Reilly, doing what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted. And I remember I walked into the house, and I told my old lady, I said, I don't want to do this no more. She said, oh, shut up. Here, just have another hit. I said, no, I'm serious. I'm done. So I went upstairs and I sat with my child, and I just looked, and I don't even remember all of the things I thought about, but I just like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I went back downstairs and I told her, I'm going to leave. Now, if you go into my house right now, I got plants everywhere. She hit me in the back of the head with one of my little potted plants as I walked out the door. But that was the beginning for me. I do know that I struggled back and forth time and time again after about getting this thing called sobriety and getting my life together and doing it. But the thing that came clear to me the most was my mother was a praying. She prayed for anybody, everybody, and all of the people, any people she didn't even know nothing about. So I began to pray about my lifestyle and what I did and how I did it. I do know that in that first part of it, I got clean. I went and my first group was Native American group, is where I over on Trinity over at the church over there. But I do remember the part, the one that's the biggest part of my story. I still get emotional. My girlfriend at that time, I kept telling her, because I got a job, was working, doing good, making that good money. Well, I had a plan for her. I was go get me some stuff. Boy, I had it all laid out. And I had been telling her about it. So I got off of work that day. When I got to her house, I said, oh, I remember I told you I gotta go do this. She said, okay, let's go. Okay. Couldn't say nothing. We got in that 69 Buick Riviera and went up Alaska way before I can get to Beacon Avenue. God got me. Turned around, went back to her house. I stayed balled up in her room for almost 6 days. I don't remember what it was about. But I do remember when I came to, ever in my life wouldn't have to feel like this again. And to this day, I have not touched nothing. Only by God's will and grace do I get to be the man that's standing here before you telling me what I'm telling you right now. If you're new to this program, one of the things that I like to share with people is this here. What I found out is who Bobby was. I practice taking care of Bobby on a daily basis. But the one thing that the program taught me is God first, then me, and anything and everybody else after that, to this day. One of my first cliches in this program was, nothing outside of my body has any overpowering me that I don't give it. And I still use that when I have to. And I've never forgotten that. But I know me, and I know how I am and what can trigger me and what is that. Now that addict alcoholic, he's still here. But I keep him to the side. I don't allow him to surface because you don't want to know him. You don't want to know about that guy. So I practice on a daily basis to love who I am. I'm one of these human beings, let me put it like that. I got a sign about this big. I live on 16th Avenue, Main Street there in Berea. My name is in my front window. Everybody else, why you put your name in your front window? Because I can. Simply because I can. I love Bobby Yates. And I practice that on a daily basis, and I share that, I experience that, and I do notice this whenever I'm out and wherever I'm at, because of the love that I have for myself, it illuminates outside of me and it connects to people in and around and about me on my daily basis throughout my life. So if you're new here, what I like to say is that find out who you are, find out what works for you. Find that piece in that part, no matter what you've been through in your life and how hard and traumatic it was. If you figure out who you are and you learn to love yourself, anybody and everybody around you is going to love you the same way. And it's something that I've practiced over the years. And like I said, 1988, August 22nd, I've been a clean and sober man, and I've never forgotten that. And I don't let go. And I get the calls. I got a lot of people in and around and about me in my life, First part of my recovery, I lived on a Blackfeet Indian reservation. And this is my part, and I'm going to shut it down. I lived there for almost 14 years. But my spirit, my wife at that time, told her, oh, come on, let's go for a ride. Took her to Justice of the Peace, and we got married. But our relationship, she's clean and sober 2 more years than I have. But my spirit, this is a big part of that for me. My spirit just wouldn't let me stay. The last few years of being there, I remember nothing wrong with my relationship, none of that. But my spirit just didn't want me to be there. I left and I gotta go. Couldn't sleep for days. Just insomnia really bad. So when I left, I got between the mountain there and Spokane, and I remember pulling over. And my spirit and God told me, you're never going to go back there. And that's all it was about, my spirit. So I pay attention to what God says to me. I have that spiritual contact, as we say in this program, So it's another part of the program that teaches me and helps me and guides me through my life today. So I thank you folks for, I still got 5 minutes? Oh, let me tell you something. The piece of Alcoholics Anonymous is what we share in that part of giving to others, what has really been given to us. Sometimes I can go to meetings and you can hear stuff and people be getting all different and I don't like him, I don't like her, whatever the reason is. If I did not go to Alcoholics Anonymous meeting because it was somebody there that I didn't like, I would not have the time that I have today. I remember somebody told me one time, well, if you like that meeting and all of this part of that, if you go in there, that chair he's in, that's my chair. Okay? If you don't mind, you need to give me my chair because that's why I came for the meeting. Letting that be the reason, okay? So find something that's about this program that's going to excite you, something that's going to make you want to come, regardless of who's in the room. It might be one of your old enemies. It might be a sibling that you don't want to talk to. It might be somebody that you just have no idea that you never saw them again. And look, they're in the room where you're at. So Alcoholics Anonymous is a strong program that, in our preamble, how it says we share our experience. We get to do a lot of things that we do in life today that we would have never ever thought about. So as I just said that, as we go through the night, and when you go into any other meeting after this, I want you guys to think about this part. How many times you hear somebody say, I get to. I get to. That has become one of my most prosperous preambles that I use on a daily basis. So a lot of times if I'm in a meeting and somebody's sharing and I hear them say I get to more than 3 times, next time I see them, they get a shirt that says I get to. Some of them say I get to, and some of them have a I get to with a question mark on the bottom of it. Well, what does that mean? What's the question mark? Put in front of that whatever you want. Because what I do today, I get to do that. I get to do that. I don't have to a whole bunch of time. I might not even want to do it. But what I do today, I get to do that. Simply mostly just because of the life that I'm allowed to live today. Because of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've thought more times than not, if I could remember that man's name who was standing up there telling my story. It's just a piece in that part, but just for him to know that he made a difference in somebody's life. Just sharing his experience, strength, and hope. It's something that we, a lot of times we don't pay attention to that. Court ordered and all of that. I said I never had to go through that. If I could hold you guys hostage and tell you the life that I lived, and heard what I said, this part, from the time I was 13 till I was 28 years old, what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted, and where I wanted. Not a problem. Lived the life of O'Reilly. I remember when cell phones were that big. Driving down Alki, okay? But Alcoholics Anonymous will do things for you that you might not get in no church. Not to condemn any church or religion or anything, but what you can get here in Alcoholics Anonymous will definitely give you a different part of life on life terms. That's all I got. Thank you.